First thing that I'm trying to do, right, is map out the org chart. So like outside of IT, like who are the leaders in the business that are ultimately going to be using the software? And, do they know about the evaluation? And can we reach out to them to, kind of understand what their workflow is, what their process is? So we can start learning more about the problems they're facing, or generally there's no gap or problem. We can start sharing with them ideas on how they could ultimately do things better and like how it could impact the business. So if I'm selling CRM in particular, right, there's a few people that I'm trying to get in touch with. Number one, like I'm trying to get in touch with whoever is the leader of the sales organization and controls all of the revenue. And then generally below them, they have a couple operators, right? Like a VP of sales, a director of sales. They're the ones that really know the ins and outs of the business, the technology, the software, like all of those different things. So we need to come up with like a perspective together, which we can, or a point of view in terms of why they should take a call with us, how it could potentially impact the business. And then that's really where the magic happens. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn about their process today. And I'm trying to draw parallels back to how they could be doing it on HubSpot and what the ultimate impact of that would be on their business, and like educate them on how they could be doing things a lot better. The second thing that I'm trying to do is get in touch with anybody else on the IT side who is a consultant, who has a VP of AI, a VP of like enterprise technology, VP of digital transformation type of title. And then sometimes these organizations, they like bring in consultants just for these projects specifically. Like when I closed that $14 million deal, there was a consultant who basically worked at the organization full time, but he kind of oversaw all these different technology projects. And he went back up to the CFO, and ultimately whatever he said was gospel, right? So like that's really the first step, is we want to kind of start identifying like who these key political players are in each part of the organization, and start understanding what their priorities are. Have they used HubSpot at a previous organization? And then how can we kind of lead them and give them ideas and teach them how to think about how we're going to ultimately drive value in the business and like drive as much consensus as possible? Because if you think about it, right, IT, yeah, they hold the keys to the castle, right? But he's asking you for all these different products that you have. And so what do we always talk about, right? Like one of the primary drivers of alpha selling is that like business value power ranking stuff. So how do we align what they're paying today with cost reduction if we're able to reduce costs on our platform? How do we align it with scalability, right? How can we align it with revenue growth? And how can we tell a story that it's going to get them the result like faster and quicker for their organization? We keep it simple. But at the end of the day, like that's what we're trying to do. So for you, man, you literally need to like start mapping out those people in the org chart, and we can do it together. We need to start creating that messaging, right? And then the only really way you can drive urgency in deals is by quantifying the cost of an action, pricing, right? And then the other thing would be like some sort of compelling event happening in their business, or, their current technology and when it's ultimately expiring. So the reason that we can't drive any urgency in the deal is because we haven't worked with enough people in the business to get that information. And so I need you to kind of go play detective, and I can kind of teach you, and we can work through on our sessions, like how to navigate each one of those departments.
Alpha selling.